Hello and welcome to the first morning of the first day of my virtual Lakeland 100 attempt this week, running from today Monday all the way through to 12 noon on the Sunday when we need to have completed it. It's a bit of a wet start today, so actually quite typical for the Lakeland events. I'm heading onto the West Coast Trail here on Orkney mainland and just heading over basically in that over onto that lump there, which marks the kind of southern extent of the trail. It's starting to rain a bit now, so I'm going to get moving and see you soon. So 4 miles in and we've made it to the top of Black Crag, which is the southwest corner of the Orkney West Coast Trail. And just a little bit of orientation. So behind me you'll see it was a lumpy hilly island, that's Hoy, which lies just south of the mainland here and is one of the islands in the chain here in Orkney. As we move around, you'll see the stile over there in the distance. Well, that's where I'm going to be crossing over. That stile takes us over and onto the trail that leads up on the west coast. Out there in the big blue yonder, that is the North Atlantic and the dramatic ocean that basically sculpts the whole of the west mainland coast, and I'll be showing you some hopefully really quite dramatic bits of the coastline as we move up here. Lots of dramatic sea cliffs, geodes, sea arches and sea stacks as we head from here up to our finishing point for today on the west coast, which is at the car park at Yesby. So we're going to get moving on. We're about the 4 mile point here, and I'll be stopping a bit later on, showing you a bit of the coastline. And also welcome back. So we're about 5.5 miles in now, and we now have reached a fairly spectacular section of the coastline. As you can see behind me, just really dramatic cliffs, sea geodes, sea stacks and sea arches in this section up to Yesby, which is just in the distance there. You go about another 2-mile section from here up to Yesby, all with cliffs like this. I'll stop at a few points and show you what it looks like. You'll see some photographs along the way that I've integrated in. But I'm going to get moving in a second, as I'm being attacked quite substantially by a large number of biting insects at the moment. Wet start to the day, so every insect possible is out at the moment. Midges, biting gats, all trying to eat me, so I'm going to get moving. So welcome back to my update. So we are almost at mile 7 now and almost at Yesby. You can see all the cliffs behind and Yesby in the distance there. We're getting close to the car park now, so there's a few more people hanging around. It's quite a popular spot for people to come and have a nice walk. This area, this whole coastline from where we started off on Black Crag up to Yesby and beyond up towards Scarborough is designated as a special scientific area of interest and also a special area of conservation, partly for its geology and also partly for its botany. So really stunning botanical communities of flowers here. One of the things that I want to do on these videos over the next few days is bring some ecological kind of science and knowledge into it. I'm an ecologist myself, plant ecologist and biogeographer, so I'm going to use these videos to kind of hopefully just bring a little bit of scientific ecological knowledge into them and basically explain what the importance of what we have around us here. So on one of those videos we're going to look at the importance of microhabitats and habitat heterogeneity in the botanical plant communities that we see around us. If I just swing round, so as you can see we start down there at the sea cliff edge and we've got a really good gradient here at Yesby from grassland sea cliff edge plant communities that live in an environment that is incredibly saline, gets inundated with sea spray. Ground is often quite dry as well because it's quite dry mineral soil. All the way up to the top you can see there's quite an inflorescence of bright white in the background, and that's Aerobic vaginatum, hairtails cotton grass, and that's symbolic of a much wetter terrain. So up there you'll get more wet heath blanket bog vegetation, a few mineral flushes as well coming through, and so you've got the whole gradient here from very dry saline coastal grassland vegetation all the way up to coastal dry heath, wet heath, blanket bog and some mineral flushes as well that come through in these patches to create a nice diverse amount of botany. So that's going to be one video that I'm going to be focusing on in the future, is the importance of microhabitats and variability in ecological communities. So I'm going to push on now and get to the car park itself. See you soon. So final little video before I push on back south along the road back to Stromness and back home for the final part of today's outing. So we are almost at the car park at Yesby, which is up there along the path just behind me, but I'm not going to be going that way. I'm going to be following the fence line just behind me. That will take me along to the road at the further end. That way kind of avoid anybody back there, and just cuts off a bit of the road section down to where the fence line meets it. So Yesby, also known as one of the few places on Orkney mainland where you can find the Scots Primrose, Primula, Scotia. If I see it, I'll stop and do a little video. It's quite late in the season for it now. It'll be the end of the flowering season for it. It flowers twice a year, and this is the second time of year that it'll be flowering. I do have some photos of it, so if I don't come across it, I'll pop in a photo that I took earlier on in the year into this video. So that's all from me now. I'm going to have a quick drink of water and then pushing on back south. So there you go, there is the Scots Primrose, and still looks to be flowering really well. The camera actually shows it as quite a pinkish purple, but it's actually very dark violet purple. And you can see there's some more leaves of Scots Primrose there that has already gone over. You see they're exceptionally tiny little plants, nothing like a standard primrose, very, very small, about the size of a fingernail. So I'm 11 miles in now to today's virtual Lakeland 100 run, stopping at some field margins here, because the other aspect I want to deal with when I go into doing my little ecology videos is the importance of field margins in rural areas, and in urban suburban areas they would be roadside verges, path verges. And the importance is that one of the big theories in ecology, biogeography theory, is that they talk about things called ecological corridors and buffer zones, and these are really important. They are as important as those lovely pristine areas on the coast or in or mountain environments. They provide connectivity for lots of wildlife, and so I'm going to be having a big focus on them later on in my videos, explaining a bit about why they're important and what we need to do, because they often just get cut back. They get cut back at the wrong time of year. People see them as a mess. I often call it nature NIMBYism, is that people don't want them because they look really scraggly and untidy, but they are really important. Anyway, I'm going to get on now as I need to get back. And that's me back home. Whew.